So there's a little bit of a stigma involved with, while one is in the service with getting out for medical reasons. Um, and this kind of ties a lot into it's the beginning stages of why service members and veterans don't get the help that they need initially. For example, even when one is injured, back in 2009, I tore my ACL. Um, Before that, I was a PT stud, meaning I worked out real good, which is a marker of a good service member in the Army. Once I blew my ACL and my PT score plummeted because if you can't run, your physical test score it just goes down. I went from a really great soldier to a dirtbag overnight. Just from this one instance, I put off my surgery to have my ACL replaced for a couple of months, and then found out that because I was being transferred, I couldn't have it done when I wanted it. But the stigma of being injured and not being able to perform one's duties as a result of injuries, incurred in service in combat is definitely real. When we start talking about things like post-traumatic stress disorder, it becomes even more real because it's not something that is commonly shared amongst service members. It's not. It's felt differently by each individual, and it manifests itself in many, many different ways. Um, so, going to seek help while in service puts a stigma on one. Myself, I'm a three-time combat veteran. I served 3 years in Afghanistan. And I've seen literally every province in the country. And when I came back, my last time, problems started manifesting, and I needed to go get help. I knew probably since my first tour back in 2004 that there was something not right. It caused a lot of fights between my ex-wife and I. Um, but I just didn't want to acknowledge it. And I had seen some other soldiers with real problems that had seen even more than I had, basically get treated like garbage. They're viewed as shirking their duties. They're viewed as dirtbags. They're given the worst possible assignments. Myself, I was taken away from my platoon and put into the orderly room, which basically, had I gotten better to the point where I could remain in service, would have been a career ender. I never would have seen a promotion after the promotion board seeing this guy went from being a platoon sergeant to being an orderly room clerk. And it's something that follows you around. There's a stigma behind having physical profiles in the Army, and leadership. Just we're bodies, we're individuals. We're not viewed as anything more than a number, and it's out of necessity for the Army. And because of that, when my being unable to perform my duties hinders the remainder of the unit, someone else has to pick up the slack. And I think naturally people have a tendency to feel stress and want to take it out. And unfortunately, they take it out on those that are injured, be it their own fault or be it no fault of their own, is really irrelevant. They just want to lash out. So when we move to post-service, time for veterans, I served 17 years. I was a crypto linguist. When I joined, I actually thought, I'm never going to see combat. I've got a desk job. My mom picked it up for me. I wanted to join the infantry, but that's what she picked because I was 17 and too young to decide for myself. So, 3 combat tours to Afghanistan, my skill set put me outside the wire in close contact with local nationals. So I probably have seen a little bit more than most other crypto linguists. But seeing the stigma manifest itself even from an early part of my military career back in the 1990s, I knew as soon as problems started popping up that I didn't want anything to do with them. So finally I go to a medical board and retired medically from the Army, and I still didn't want to seek service or seek help. really, pride plays a big role in why I think some service members just don't want to admit that they need the help to go out and get it. There are a number of factors, I believe, that prevent service members from going to get the help that they need. One has been on the news very recently. In Arizona, we saw 40 veterans passed away while waiting for service. So a lot of veterans and service members simply have absolutely no faith in the VA system, despite the fact that it is serviced by some of the best doctors in their fields. The Walter Reed Army Medical Center is pioneering research in psychological trauma incurred during combat. But these long wait times, 2 and 3 years to have your case adjudicated and finally start seeing benefits is a daunting task for someone that needs help not 2 or 3 years from now, but right now. Other factors that play in, once you get out, some people just don't want anything to do with the service anymore. It's a part of their life that they want to put behind them, and so they do, and they just don't get the help they need. Like any other system, the Veterans Affairs Administration is a bureaucracy, and as such, it functions in a very managerial way through various layers of state, local, and federal governance. And because it's layered, it's easy to fall through cracks. Each layer reports up and down to other layers, trying to manage the caseload, and it just becomes frustrating. I know there are some places in the nation where you see a small community, handful of veterans, a couple of 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 veterans, whatnot, serviced by only 2 or 3 people. And so this adds to the wait times, and it adds to, a lot of mistakes. Tired people make mistakes. And let's face it, they're bureaucrats. They're not angels. I like to refer back to Federalist 51, where Madison said that if men were angels, we wouldn't need governance. And it's the same. If men were angels, then we'd have a perfectly functioning Veterans Affairs Administration. But we don't. And there are people that take advantage of their position. They pick and choose who they like and don't like, so things get pushed up and pushed back in the line. It's really a mess. Statistics are not nice. I mean, we see 22 veterans a day are committing suicide, and it seems as though it's treated as an awareness issue when awareness is really only the first step. Very few tangible measures have been taken that definitively help the veterans out. I think suicide is a manifestation of the mismanagement of the Veterans Affairs Administration. And like I said, that's not to knock the doctors that help provide services. Some of them are the finest in the world. But the cold hard reality is, as an administrative arm, it's just failing every bit as much as most of the rest of our government is.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pete Steiner, and I've been asked to comment about veteran engagement in the multitude of programs that are available for vets. Probably a couple of problems. One is that veterans, once they're in the military, are in many ways actively discouraged from accessing services, whether that be mental health, which is my area of expertise. They are made to feel that they're kind of wusses, if you will, if they access service. that they aren't as damaged as some of the other vets, and so they're utilizing resources that might otherwise go to someone else. So in answer to this issue, as I've given this some thought, I think an effort has to be made to engage veterans at a very grassroots level, developing kind of a system of camaraderie and engagement as a group. That is one of the things that really made the military experience very special for many of these men and women, is the feeling of brotherhood and sisterhood. And I think that today a lot of that is lost out in the public. In days gone by, for instance, after World War II or after Korea, you saw the veterans of foreign wars. Veterans would engage in social groups. They would maintain somewhat of that camaraderie. Today, I really feel that a lot of that is lost, as I've been dealing with disabled vets on a regular basis. That is certainly something that I feel is one of the issues. Another issue is the system itself. The VA and other veterans organizations are huge bureaucracies, and when bureaucracies grow, oftentimes it becomes self-defeating. The more effort they put in to engage their clients, the more work it is for them. So actually their motivations to have less engagement of clients, and it's less work for them, for the same pay. The groups that I've seen especially effective in dealing with veterans are actually kind of homegrown groups by veterans, such as Wounded Warriors, groups that help homeless vets. They seem to do a much better job of actually getting to the clientele, engaging, and in my opinion have demonstrated a much higher level of dedication to the cause. And I'm not saying that people at the VA, that various national, more national veterans groups don't care and don't have purpose. But the larger bureaucracy grows, it just seems like it loses its ability to maintain its focus and to really engage the clients that it serves. One of the things that just personally, I'm a psychiatrist, and I've welcomed disabled veterans to join my practice. The VA has actively discouraged people from going outside of the system. And so I do think that more choice for veterans will also benefit that population.
All right. So how do we get veterans to these aware of these services? So I'm going to preface this by saying I'm completing my master's degree in public administration. Not to pat myself on the back, but kind of to give a little bit of background into where I'm coming from, because I believe that it's a two-pronged approach. It's got to go both up from the county level to state and national level, and then it's got to go back down from county level down to the city, and then down to the veteran. And so to start off first, moving up from the county level, county level offices have to acknowledge the deficiencies in the administration, push up, and along with the citizens have to make a concerted effort to push for change, administrative change at the top, from the top down. so that the system is fixed as much as can be expected, so that we don't have veterans dying waiting on stuff. So by doing that, the community level, the county level offices, they show that they're in the fight with the veteran and that they're pushing for the same thing. As such, they gain the trust of the veteran. The second part of that is understanding that outreach doesn't, in and of itself, outreach is not publishing things on the internet, having a website, putting posters up. It's not only media, social media. It's important to get out into the community. It's important to go to homeless shelters. We're looking at a problem of not being able to identify people because the information simply isn't available at the county level. And rather than relying on the veteran to come to you, you have to, sometimes you just have to get out and go track down the veteran, for lack of a better word. You're not, searching VA databases or whatever, but you go out, you check out homeless shelters, churches, VFW, and yeah, VFW, they're part of the community effort. But sometimes people are there without the knowledge of the VFW as to who they are or why they're there or what their story is. So it's a concerted effort between the county offices, the VFW Foreign Legion, to actively try and find these people for face-to-face meets. Understanding that's difficult because of personnel constraints, budget constraints, but realistically, blasting things out on social media and just running print ads it's not going to be enough. You just have to get out there and kiss babies and shake hands, make like a politician.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army